what would you say in beauty? What do you have to do to be the brand?
Who are the winners? Who will be the winners? And that's all about the marketing. It's all about the storytelling. But without, especially the science, consumers cannot be tricked. Consumers will not just buy a moisturizer these days. They need to know what's inside and what is it for. Brands that get launched, they grow really fast to have 1 million followers, they sell a lot, and then they die. And
so it's just hype. There's nothing
it's
else.
hype because there was nothing else. This is why it's difficult, because it's very similar to fashion. It's very trend-based. And so what lasting value do we see is we need to find those companies that have lasting value.
Welcome to a new season of Provitalks, where innovation and purpose guide our conversations beyond beauty. Join us as we explore new ideas with inspiring voices from within and beyond the industry, because imagining what's ahead is the beauty of the future.
Welcome back to the third season of Provitalks, the beauty of the future. If our last episode about artificial intelligence got you excited about what are the new technologies that are going to revolutionize the beauty business, well, get ready for today's episode, because we're going to dive into what is coming next in the beauty business, this time through the lens of innovation, entrepreneurship, and the next big thing that is coming.
That's right, Clara. And well, for that, we are thrilled to welcome Inés Ures, a leading figure in the, I would say, Spanish and European startup ecosystem, with a lot of experience in consumer and in health companies. Well, welcome, Inés. Thank you for joining us. How are you doing today?
Thank you for welcoming me, and I'm doing really well. Thank you. Thank you so much.
So Inés, to start off, we want to get to know you a little bit more, and especially what got your interest to become who you are today at Real Ventures. You have an amazing experience in scale-ups of different types of investments in any kind of industry. So what is that you did to arrive here?
Yeah, I will try to keep it short. So currently I am a founding partner at a venture capital fund called Real Ventures. And we invest in early stage startups in the consumer industry, mostly focused on beauty, wellness, lifestyle, food, beverage, and anything in the end that will improve the way we live and make us feel better in a way, right? In the consumer industry, sometimes I think it's kind of superficial what we do, but in the end, physical health and mental health are connected, right? I'm also a founder at a company called Arpías. Arpías is a premium nail care salon. We have 7 units at the moment, seven salons, and the ambition is to get to many more, right? I don't want to say the number,
ambitious.
But yes, we are trying to upscale the industry in terms of quality and experience. I've spent my whole career working mostly in tech, and the last 6 years in investing. So I've my latest job, I was CMO at a company called Deliveroo. Deliveroo is the leading food delivery business, together with a couple more. Globally, we were operating across 20 countries. I was based in London. We were just to get a sense of the dimension, we were selling more than 3 billion pounds in food, right?
Wow.
Globally. So it's definitely the biggest job I've done. I was there during the IPO, and my marketing budget was I was global CMO, so my marketing budget was a couple of hundred, so it's millions. So that was the biggest thing I've done aside from investing. Before that, I had marketing roles in different companies. The most relevant for today, I was CMO at a company called Treatwell. Treatwell is a marketplace that connects people that want to get a beauty treatment with beauty salons, hair and beauty salons. So same as Booking.com. If you want to book a haircut or a massage or a nail treatment, you go there, you compare, look at reviews, look at the photos, and just book. Go there, get the treatment, you pay. Same as Booking, you can book a hotel and compare, etc. So that's called Treatwell. Treatwell, when I left, was selling around 250 million pounds. I always talk in pounds because I was in London. And I had around 35,000 beauty salons registered in the platform.
And today is it still operating?
It's still operating, has
Okay.
has a new CEO, and who is one of my former colleagues. So he's kind of back in the business. And I was there since day zero. So when I moved to London, the company was selling 30 million, and when I left, more than 200 million. So
Wow, what an evolution.
the growth journey, and hopefully I can say I was part of the growth journey.
Of course.
And the last years, before Real Ventures, which we already discussed, I was also a partner at a fund called Iris Ventures, which is a fund focused also on consumer and consumer technology.
Oh, very, very interesting. Well, what a background, right?
What a background.
Thank you.
You mentioned Treatwell. You also mentioned Arpías. I
Yes.
see a little match here.
Yes.
What led you to decide to start this new venture called Arpías this time as a founder and not as an investor?
So, as you said, I have spent my whole life either working for others or investing in others. And since I worked for Treatwell, I had always seen that particularly in the nail industry, there was a huge quality gap. So the revolutions that we have seen in food, for example, when you think about hamburgers or coffee, in any country in the world, and I'm sure we're going to have people listening to this from different countries, you can think about a niche coffee chain that has become now the new trend, or a niche hamburger brand that has become now the trendiest thing, right? That has not happened in the beauty services industry, and especially has not happened in nails. Because if you think about hairdressing, about hair care and hairdressing, anyone in their countries can think about a brand that has been a franchise that has spread.
Yeah,
and
that's true.
And think about your countries, right? Like in our case in Spain, we can think about 5-6 names, but you cannot think about the same in the high-end industry. We can think about low-cost products, but not high-end. So the ambition of Arpías, and as I said, we're already number 7. We've done 7 in a year, and the idea is to finish this year with 14. So basically, the mission is we do multiplication by 2 every year. So we do 14, 30.
Exponentially.
But exponential. Let's see what time and money allows. But so far, so good. The company is doing really well. We do premium nail care. So we are in the care industry, and we're also in the beauty industry. So both things are really important. We don't just do beauty. We also do care. We're your psychologist. We give you a super premium experience. You arrive, we take your coat, we make you feel great. The music is great. The venue smells really well. You just want to stay there. You want to spend time there, but at the same time, we give you the best manicure possible.
It's an experience, right?
It's experience, exactly. It's toxic-free products, well crafted. Like, we apply them on your nails, and I can see you have your nails done. I don't. And you can imagine why. I spend so many hours talking about nails, and at some point I need a break. But our nails are really good. I don't want to say the best, because I'm sure there's great artists out there. And our professionals, we don't call them manicurists. We call them nail artists, because they are nail artists. You can see the things they can do. So aside from improving the perception of quality in the industry, we also really believe we have a mission in improving the quality of labor, of how we treat people. Like, people in the beauty industry, especially working in nails, they have been mistreated across the globe. Like in America, in the UK, which is in the UK, I've spent many years there. There's been like the union of manicurists complaining about regulation, about employment regulation, about in your case, what applies for Provital is the active ingredients in the beauty industry, especially in nail care, is crazy. They are extremely toxic. It's been studied that they can provoke breast cancer, abortions.
Wow.
And there were many publications from the Union of Manicurists, Asian manicurists in the US, complaining about the fact that they can prove that when they were working with certain ingredients or certain chemical products, they were losing their pregnancies. They were having abortions, spontaneous abortions. Therefore, when we created the company, we researched the whole market. We looked for the best active principles. We looked for toxic-free products. It's almost impossible to find these products. Oh, you know this because you do this job, right? And I'm sure the ones we have, we talk about damaging ingredients, right? Ingredients that will damage us, because in the end, it's always chemistry, right? Chemistry will always have artificial ingredients. It's part of the journey, especially in nails. What we do is glue on a nail. This is the summary. It's a plastic on a nail, so we can't forget that. But because if you don't do that, the nails fall off. Then people complain and say, yeah, this is not a good manicure. I'm like, yeah, sure, because it's vegan and it's toxic free, and it's like, yeah, sure, it's going to last like 3 hours and then you will lose it, right? Like manicures for kids are like that. You apply the manicure and in the evening they don't have a manicure anymore. We also do them, right? But they don't last, of course. So that's what we do. And on top of all of that, as you said, great experience and a beautiful brand. We really believe building a story that people want to be part of, and building a community, like a tribe of people that go beyond nail care but want to express themselves. So we focus on care. And then the last pillar we talk about is art, like, because we do nail art. So you use your nails to express yourself. And many people dress very simply, but they love to have beautiful nails. So we're in the industry, as I said, of beauty and care, because it's all about how you feel after you leave our salons.
That's crazy. I love that. And I've been impacted by your advertising. And I was like, okay, this seems to care a little bit more for your nails, which is lacking for sure. And that quality that you said that is lacking in the market, yes, it is. As a consumer, I can
tell, right?
I can definitely tell that is happening. But in general, you have a very broad and super interesting background. What do you think is the mindset, the necessary mindset here in the beauty industry, where differentiation is so key to build new startups, to make them grow and be successful in the end?
Yeah, let's go back to beauty products, because I think that's closer to your heart. What we have seen from an investor lens, we are probably 5 years behind where Provital is, because Provital is already thinking about the ingredients that need to be ready in 5 years, right? And we're thinking about the ingredients that consumers are able to buy today, because they have been regulated, tested, and also they are on the market already. And they are in the market, right? They have been put into some kind of like product and someone can buy them, right? Either online or in the shop. The consumer today is extremely well educated. The consumer has infinite access to information. First we had the internet, Google, then we had social networks. The new generations, every time they have a question, their search engine is not anymore Google. It is TikTok. It is TikTok, okay? You say, okay, I want to go to a trip to Sevilla. I will look for plants in Sevilla. And most recently, of course, ChatGPT and similar tools, right? Where you go, okay, I have oily skin, what can I get? And what the chat is going to tell us is the things that already exist. It's not going to tell us about innovation. So if we want to solve a problem these days, you don't go to Google anymore, because that's just too complicated. So when people try and answer a question with a video, attention span is short, but access to information is really deep, right? As I was saying, if you want to go to Sevilla, and you want to know what to see, you don't go to Google and read 25 articles. You just go and look for a video of 20 seconds and you watch a video.
Yeah, the highlights.
Yeah, the highlights. Yeah, and then I think it's also it's a generational thing, right? Because depending on the age, it's being said, by the way, that Gen Z and especially Gen Alpha will be the deepest readers again compared to millennials. It's almost like millennials, which is us, by the way, but maybe you're a bit younger.
I'm in the
You're
between.
In between. We are. I read a lot, but it's not normal that millennials read. Millennials spend a lot of time looking at their phones. But anyway, access to information is infinite, and then you go to ChatGPT, where you can literally upload photos of your skin, answer any question. I have oily skin, I have this acne problem, and at least you will get a list either of products or of active ingredients or routines you can use. Therefore, what we think first, and our thesis, and most beauty investors are thinking like this, is we need science-led products, and evidence-based products. So ingredients that actually have impact in the way that people are consuming and applying skincare to the skin, to their skins, to their body in general, not just skin. That's the first part, but that's just not enough, because anyone that has a bit of money can come to Provital and say, hey, I want something that solves these 5 problems. Can you please build me 5 products? No, and I have a skincare line. We'll take a year, we pay the money, but then what? You have to take it to market. And then you will have probably one new beauty brand launched every day in the world? 2, 3,
Probably
5,
more,
20?
even more.
Yeah, exactly. How many? Well, if you include Asia, infinite, right? So
Yes.
who are the winners? Who will be the winners? And that's all about the marketing. It's all about the storytelling. So I think the mix of science-led beauty and care, great brands, and we can talk about brands later. How do you build a
Yes.
brand? And the third, and this is a personal opinion of mine, I think that there was a trend of sophistication in skincare and body care, and now we're going back to simplification. People want you have like
Less is more, right?
less is more, but more effective.
Yeah, of course.
You're looking for effective beauty care.
Multifunctional products.
Multifunctional products, but at the same time, multifunctional, we've been told all our lives that multifunctional is bad, right? Best example is don't use the same moisturizer as your SPF, right? While there's actually great moisturizers that contain SPF and that for a quick light thing in the morning will be great in 95% of the cases. No? This was the debate we can have later about SPF, no? So I think that simplification, science, and the most important that comes above all of this is brand. But without, especially the science, consumers cannot be tricked. Consumers will not just buy a moisturizer these days. They need to know what's inside and what is it for.
Well, and now let's focus on this branding side. What do you say? Which are the key aspects to become the brand? You know, you were talking about every niche has its own brand, coffee, food, burgers. What would you say in beauty? What do you have to do to be the brand?
So in beauty, again, we've seen so many different trends in brand building. So you have from the pharma-led beauty brands like CeraVe or Bioderma or BT, like brands that have been telling a very traditional story, and many of them are relatively new. Some are traditional brands, but many are new. They've been around for 10, 15, 8 years, 5 years, right? And what they do is, okay, we have a rational price, so it's not super expensive, it's not super cheap either. We sell you really good ingredients in simple packaging, well branded. You know what you're buying, and what you see is what you get. I personally, as an investor, find those brands tricky because there's many, but as a consumer, I love those brands.
They're easy to
Because
choose.
you know what I mostly consume that because you're not buying a cheap product. It's neither, like Isdin is a great example. Like well, of course, Isdin is a huge company, right? But they belong to Puig, but they've been doing that for so many years, and their products just work, right? So that is just one trend that keeps coming back. Like you have one key brand being launched, and I think that for a person that has passion on building functional beauty, that is the way to go. Because you say, okay, I want to build a brand with the right ingredients, and the playbook there to build a brand is actually distribution. Because once you have the brand, you say, okay, I have to be in the right place. How do I sell these? Pharmacies. Questions to answer. Am I a Sephora brand or am I a pharmacy brand?
You have to choose your channels.
Or not. Or first, or am I a supermarket brand, by the way? Because supermarket, also most supermarkets, they also sell beauty products. And when you think about these products I just mentioned, you can find them in pharmacies, in supermarkets, and in Sephora sometimes, right? They've won the battle. But I think that the brands we look for as investors are a bit different. They are brands that are either created around people or around communities. People meaning we had the trend the last years is going down a bit, which is celebrity-led beauty brands.
We've seen a lot.
Yeah, this was huge. Many celebrities have made a lot of money with this. Like Rihanna is a great example. Like Kim Kardashian. I mean, I'm saying the big ones, but literally every celebrity.
Well, in the States, there are a lot.
Literally every celebrity has their beauty brand, right? Some of them are really good business people, like Rihanna. Therefore, she doesn't have to sing anymore because she has a beauty brand, Fenty Beauty. But she has also tried lingerie, right? She's a businesswoman, right? She's tried many things. So and we have seen great brands created around people, meaning people, influencers or trend creators, I would say. What I like about those is when you find a real one, a genuine one. Because there's 99 that will be fake, that will go here and then they will go there.
They just put the name and use their audience.
And then you have someone that really cares, doesn't necessarily have to be a celebrity, but more like an influencer that just started, has 500,000 followers, but she or he has a really strong point of view. and it's genuine. There's a real story behind it.
When
We
the
love
story
those.
is real.
The story is real, right?
How
And
can you tell that? I mean,
you have to spend time with them.
okay.
When I meet you, Eloi, and you tell me about Provital, and I hear the family story, I'm like, okay, I want to work with these guys. If I launch a beauty brand, I want Provital to maybe do this for me because they've been doing this for many years, right? So this is the same with a founder. You sit down, and they tell you, look, my father was already working on this, or this was a family issue. Many have like something to do with their family, right? My mom had really bad skin, and I have the same skin as my mother, and at home this was always a problem. So I've spent 5 years trying to find the best product, and I found it, and now I want to sell it, and I want to improve life. This is when you find them, and you can tell. The first meeting maybe not, but after 2-3 meetings you can tell.
Yeah.
And their audience also can tell, because they usually produce content, their packaging reflects their story, and mostly, in most cases, when they feel like that, their product is good. Because without a good product, you cannot, it's not going to last long.
You need it,
You have the hype and then the product dies, right? So this is one. And then the other one I love is, it's not about people, but it's about communities. Communities, of course, are people, but are a group of people. So many brands, and this particularly how I do Arpías. So in Arpías, we don't, there's not one person that speaks, but we always say in Spanish, todas somos arpías, right? We are all arpías. Arpías, as you know, means harpy in English, which is like an insult. It's like a woman that was trying to trick. And so we say, okay, call me Arpías, but I'm proud of being one Arpía, right? And it's about a movement. And so when we find movements of people, points of view that are strong and they all want to stick together, those are usually really good brands. We have a great case like this in the fashion space in Spain, which is Nude Project. Nude Project, although they have the two founders, and they are like the spokespeople for the company.
They put their face and their name.
But the brand is not around them.
That's
right?
true.
The brand is around the community. It's around their point of view as a community. How do we live? How do we dress?
The lifestyle.
How do we live? How do we live? How do we dress? How do we eat? Where do we party? Right? Now first it was men, and now it's men and women, because now women also want to party with them, right? Of course, how can you create a universe only with men? It's not fun, right? So we all need to be there, right? And I am not necessarily a consumer of the product, but I admire their work so much, and I've had the chance to meet them in my previous fund. But and we thought it was not for us because it was already a different stage, but it was a fantastic company. And I think in the beauty space, you find many brands that are like this, but not as many as in fashion. Like I also have another investment in a burger company, very famous burger company here in Spain. It's called Vicio.
Yes, we know it.
Yeah, and this is an example of a brand that started around a person, which was the winner of MasterChef Spain.
Yeah, that's true.
And now it's around the community.
You don't see him anymore.
Exactly, they've done a brilliant job.
Social media.
Correct, they've done a brilliant job transitioning from him to the community. And the protagonists now of the brand are the people that love the food, the people that have that lifestyle.
The fans.
So we're in the fans, and we need to see that happening in beauty brands. It's more difficult. It's much easier to create a brand around, hello, I'm beautiful, I care about my skin, hello, right? And I use this super famous ingredient, that not to say, okay, this is the life we want to see. There's been cases, for example, Elle Macpherson, she launched Eleco. Eleco is a supplement. Now it's a bit outdated because you have better things, but she launched a supplement many years ago that was like a multivitamin powder you can put in water and drink every night. And it had like, it's like a green powder. It has spinach and artichoke and many vitamins. And it went again from being about her to being about the girls and the women that improve their life thanks to drinking Eleco every night, no? And still a really good company. So I think that there's stories in beauty. But most pure beauty, we keep seeing a lot more around the person and a lot less around communities, which is sad because
it's true.
It's true. You know a lot of brands, so if you have other examples, you can give me.
No, I was thinking that when we launched Ethic Skin is a product it's an ingredient that is all around the community in Mexico of indigenous people who we are helping to develop their own crops and all that. And when we were launching that from the marketing side, we looked at brands that were doing that were, thriving in the community and were basing their story on the community. And we found some makeup brands that were based on these communities as well in America of indigenous people and that, but I don't remember the names. But it's true that it's so beautiful, and you see less. You see a lot of doctor branded, influencer branded, and all that.
But that's one person.
It's true. It's not.
Well, like in food and fashion, you see groups. And maybe it's just how it is, right? In food and fashion, we move as herds, as groups of animals, like sheep, and beauty is more individual, and it's a lot about expressing yourself. And maybe you need to think about brands that have been acquired recently. Charlotte Tilbury, she's amazing. She's like fire, and she is the brand, and she's not the CEO. There's a CEO now, but she's still there, right? Because if Charlotte is not there, then so I think that we'll keep seeing a lot of brands built around people and a lot of brands built around science. I think there's one case of a brand that is Agustinus Bader.
Yeah.
Which I always talk about Agustinus Bader because for the ones that don't know, Agustinus Bader is a brand, and this might not be entirely accurate, but it's a brand co-founded by a business person and a doctor. This doctor had a very good active ingredient that he has the patent. It's
a growth factor, I believe.
Yeah, it's a growth factor, right? For burnt skin. So they were using these for people with very severe burnt skin. And then they started using this growth factor to create skincare and anti-aging cream. And apparently it works really well. Okay, I've used it. I met them when the company was very small, and I actually had samples from them before, when the packaging was not as premium as it is today. And I was using it for a long time. As of today, I think the 50 ml is 400 euros.
Yeah, it's a high-end price.
It's one of the most high-end brands probably in the world as of today, aside from like all of these that are like 1,000, 2,000, right?
Yeah.
Let's say within the mainstream is one of the highest, and I think this is a case where they could have built the brand around Agustinus Bader, but that's the name of the doctor, but they've managed to remove him totally out of the photo, and they have actually built the story around the community. Because if you think about Agustinus Bader, the reason why it became famous is it's a very different play. It's more similar to Apple. Apple, the phone brand, right? Because they use the product, the icon of the product, as it's everywhere, right? When you talk about Apple, you always see the phone. You see the phone. It's a product-led marketing strategy. And Agustinus Bader is the same. When you talk about Agustinus Bader, it's always the pack. They invested in creating a beautiful pack, and they always see it. But then around that, they are starting to do, for example, Victoria Beckham, Agustinus Bader. So they bring Victoria Beckham community into the community.
Yeah.
Then
I've seen that in Astoria.
It's amazing. It's amazing. And then Victoria does a bit of makeup with them, and I think also she has like a magic touch. There isn't that many people in the world that you can do something with, and that you can attract younger people and older people at the same time, no? Also, she's a bit older, therefore she represents more the woman that is going to spend 500 euros in a cream, which is...
Yeah, it's their target.
Yeah, exactly, the target that also probably is also consuming the same fashion brands that Victoria is consuming. So I think that we can keep talking about, I love branding, so we can keep talking about branding for ages.
Well, I have an interesting question now. It's more related to the go-to-market strategy. What would you say that are the most common mistakes that, for example, early startups or even more consolidated companies are doing right now in this beauty industry?
I think most companies, doesn't matter in what industry, when they start growing, they forget who their consumer is, and they don't speak enough with the consumer. And the moment you don't talk to the consumer or the customer, depending on how you want to talk about it, then your marketing strategy will be wrong. And then what happens is that instead of thinking around who is she or who is he, but let's say in beauty mostly, we're going to talk to women. No? Who is she? Where does she drink coffee? Where does she live? Does she have kids or not? Where does she go out at night? Where does she train? What food does she eat? And I always talk a lot about what media does she consume, because based on what the media she consumes, we're going to craft a marketing strategy. then what they say, because I see this a lot in the decks we get for the fund, go-to-market strategy, Facebook, TikTok, and I'm like, but who is she? Who is your customer? Have you spoken to her? Do you know, I don't know, what's her tone of voice? How does she speak? How does she dress?
Yeah.
No? And then the mistakes we see is you go first into channels before thinking about messaging, about content, about what story you're going to tell.
How to reach your audience, right?
Exactly.
And I would say that this is what having a community is worth it, because you already identify with your community, so you can understand how they already think, because you are also part of them as a brand. You're building your own community, so you are the same profile that your customer.
Exactly. And I think that if we do that well, in many cases, we might not even need paid media. We are going to go
organic sales on.
If your story is so powerful,
yeah, it will
paid media is just an enabler, but it's not the reason why you become big. And if we connect this to the original discussion we were having on functional brands like Isdin, CeraVe, etc., they do a bit of paid media, but their growth strategy, their go-to-market is not the classic go-to-market of a beauty brand these days, because they think about distribution first. They think they're obsessed with, we have to be in every single pharmacy. In France, in Italy, in Spain, in the UK. You go to the UK, every pharmacy has CeraVe. You go to Spain, every pharmacy has CeraVe. You go to Italy, every pharmacy has CeraVe. So I had never seen an ad, and I own probably 3 or 4 products from this brand. Right? They are available in Amazon. They are available, of course, in their own websites. They are available in pharmacies, in most pharmacies.
Omnichannel, 100%.
Yeah, exactly. Do they do marketing? Yeah, probably a bit, but I've never been targeted. And I own 4 products. And I can tell you this is the dermatologists, for example. So prescription in the sense of like recommendation. No? So they maybe work their marketing channels different, because when you buy these functional products, you consume this. It's not an impulse buy, it's a functional buy. So you need to understand who you want to be, who your customer is, and then craft this marketing strategy. And when people talk about marketing, they think about media. And publicity, media is not the same as marketing. Marketing starts with who is this person, what product is the famous piece, no? Product, positioning, price, promotion, right?
Yeah.
I mean, we're going back to the marketing of the 80s and 70s.
Yeah, but it's a
makes sense.
Yeah, and I studied mathematics, right? So I only read a book about this, but it's enough, right? It's all about practice. But I think we have to go back to basics always, and not think that just doing Facebook ads is the way to build a brand.
Yeah, because where you publish yourself, or where you are at, in the case of these brands that you were mentioning, the pharmaceutical brands, in the end is brand image. If you are on every pharmacy and you are considered a pharmaceutical brand, then you have that.
It gives you a name.
Yeah,
it's prestigious to be everywhere. Yeah, of course.
That is their marketing. It's true. And in terms of product, have you seen any mistakes in terms of product innovation in, as well, early brands or developed ones?
Yeah, many, but I think the biggest product we see in early stage startups is when they go to a laboratory. We go back to beauty again.
Yeah.
They go to a laboratory and they say, okay, give me what you have, just change one active ingredient. That's not going to work.
The easiest way, right?
That's not going to work, because consumers are smart these days. Unless you have such a strong image and brand that they might buy a bit of this, and because your brand and your marketing a celebrity brand, right? They can do that.
But that's very helpful for the first sale. But if you want recurrency, you need the product to back that up.
You need to have a good product. Because if you have a product that has a good brand and is effective, you will sell infinite, even if it has a price premium. Because you will find your audience and you will find who buys this. And this happens the other way around. You have it with Mercadona, right? Mercadona is a local supermarket. We have the same, when I was in London in the UK, you have the same with Tesco or some of these brands. They just have a really, really good moisturizer that costs 10 euros or 10 pounds and becomes famous because it's really good. Or Lidl. Lidl also does this a lot.
Yeah, that's true.
Lidl, which is a German supermarket. So they just find this product, they make it a private label, and it's actually good, and it's okay. You can use it, and it's okay. And I do think that the consumer is smart enough to say, oh, this is actually a good moisturizer that I can use every day, and my skin feels good. No? And I think people are not valuing that much based on price anymore, but they are valued based on efficacy.
And you think, well, can you think of any example, or do you think it's possible to create a new brand that is ingredient based? That would be my dream. I mean, like,
with
But
Provital
you mean like
ingredients.
you mean like The Ordinary, something like that?
The Ordinary is using known ingredients.
Like hero molecules.
Yeah, their stories about formulation
Yeah.
and they are formulators and stuff, but they don't have like new ingredients, new technologies.
Hello.
That is their story. You know what I mean? Like, for example, you mentioned before the growth factor for Agustino's.
Yeah.
Something like that is. Would you say that is a brand that is product based or ingredient based, and that has a possibility in beauty?
We have to think always about problem solution. And I think this is what The Ordinary got right, which is, yes, they are exposing the molecule or the active principle, but the consumer understands, if I use salicylic acid, I'm going to have less acne, right?
Yeah.
If I use retinol, I'm going to like fewer wrinkles. If I use vitamin C, I'm going to have brighter skin. And people just understand, this is what I'm saying is really basic ingredients, right? And I think what you're describing is a functional approach to problem solving, which, as I said, I think many consumers, including myself, love that because I'm very rational.
But it's very niche.
Yeah, just is a generic answer. Yeah.
Okay. And what about sustainability? We were talking about product branding. What about sustainability? How do you think brands can now navigate that matter without losing profitability? How can they?
I think that it's important that we all consume and operate responsibly. So let's operate, meaning we create responsible brands, because it's more of a philosophy thing, right? I think that either you decide that we're going to be responsible or we are not. But that being said, because we always have to have the optic of responsibility and ethics. This is how I think about life. But that being said, the reality is that I don't think the consumer understands what sustainability means. I think that they think they do. For example, sometimes we say plastic is worse than other type of packaging, but it might actually be the best option for that particular product and the most sustainable. But we need to understand why. Why do we think glass is better? Maybe glass is not better than plastic. And I'm not an expert in this, right? But I think that we have been educated and we have been told that plastic is bad. Yeah, okay, I think plastic can be good for there's a limited amount of plastic in the planet. That's a fact, right? But I think it's one of the great ingredients. However, we of course, the problem with plastic is that plastic pollutes a lot the way we are disposing of plastic. Microplastics, one-use plastic, etc. So I think that there is two parts. As a brand, I think you cannot exist if you're not profitable. I think the era of non-profitable beauty brands already died like 2 years ago after COVID. We need to build profitable brands that solve problems for consumers. But on the other hand, brands that hopefully have some type of ethics around sustainability. I don't think we have to go either or. We have to find the balance. It's really difficult. But we are seeing many brands go to glass packaging, but then of course the product gets sun exposure, and then
get oxidized.
And then what happens is, and this is the example with plastic, you put a glass pack, for example, for a cream, as you said, no? And then you need to put secondary packaging. You need to put cardboard, and then because you have cardboard, you need to put another plastic around.
Cover the light exposure.
Correct. Therefore, at the end, you end up polluting a lot more than if you use recycled plastic, for example. But then, of course, it's not just the brand's responsibility. It's the consumer responsibility to drop that pack in the right bin so that it gets recycled and it can become again part of the supply chain. That's why I said it's just not about the brand.
The brand can do their part, but it doesn't end there.
Exactly. And it's all about how do we raise our kids and what do we teach at home and in schools. And it's a global responsibility. It's not just what we have to do with brands.
I would like to go back to these storytelling and more marketing strategies for beauty, of course. How would you say that, well, you were discussing, right, The Ordinary is trying to expose the science behind the brand to the consumer. But how would you say is the best strategy for beauty brands to communicate the science that is behind their product and what they do?
Yes, what I've seen works really well is two ways. I mean, writing it on the packaging is you have to do it, but it's not the way because no one reads. People don't read anymore. I think there's two ways. The best way that I've seen work is if you truly have science, you have scientists. So you use those scientists. So we include those.
Those people.
Science is trendy. Science is trendy. Therefore, let's use those scientists. Let's put them in white robes. We make them look like scientists, and we get them to speak. And that shouldn't be just the brand. The brand needs to have more ingredients, of course, needs to more components. But in the brands that where I have invested, that they use the science and the scientists, that the consumer really likes it. And the second thing that works really well in beauty for science is the before and afters. This is a classic, or clinical test, which is clinical trials, which is we show real people. We show how they looked 3 months ago, how they look today, and then we expose the science thanks to that, right? And we say, we have applied this cream on 550 people, of which 450 experienced really good results, right? And before and afters. And it's very sad, but it's you have to see to believe.
Yeah.
It's not just that the teacher at school or the scientist is telling you this cream is good for this or this serum is good for this. You need to see that there is 455 people that actually have the same result that you expect to get. And this again is really basic stuff, right? It's just like a classic marketing, by the way. This is how it was done in the 90s already. Just on TV, and now we do it on social media.
Yeah, that's true. Well, actually, that's what we do at Provital as well, because when we launch these new active ingredients, we need to back all the information that we give, and we have to do our own in vitro test, in vivo test with volunteers. And of course, at the end, you are showing the before and after using our product. This is what you get.
And the technologies have evolved a lot during these last years, but still the photos are something that has to be there.
Yeah,
the before and
it's
after.
more representative.
It's
and
very...
our customers, they are more focused on seeing the results and then understand the science behind.
It's almost like you have a hierarchy. You first have the photos, then you want to know how many people actually were in those photos. And then the third is what is the paper? What is the science, right? Is there a paper? There's a new ingredient that actually is scientifically new, right? And why? Why does it work? Yeah. Is a molecule, is a hybrid or whatever. So I don't know, something that was already in nature, is something that we had to take out of a plant. I don't know. I'm not a scientist. I'm really sorry for the chemistry experts because I know other things, but
don't worry, we know your marketing.
No. I know marketing and numbers, but I'm a consumer of beauty in that sense, and
Well, now the consumer is an expert.
No, they are. I definitely. I mean, I learned a lot through the years speaking with founders too, because I've always liked consumer companies, but beauty is a very particular field, right? To invest, and it's difficult to find a very good beauty company. And sometimes you find companies that they are using the classical ingredients, which these are companies like going back to CeraVe or all these companies, but they are just doing really well the marketing and distribution side. And they also build great businesses, just solving really functional issues that most people have, like sensitive skin, cuperosis, hydration, which we all need those products every day, right?
Common things.
Yeah, things that you consume every day, 2 times a day. Yeah.
And in what is particular exactly the beauty industry to invest in, you would say? I'm curious.
The beauty industry is difficult to invest within because most companies die. That's the truth.
Short term.
And there's many people that want to build brands just for 3, 4, 5 years. They know how to build brands that grow really, really quickly, and then they die really quickly. And this is also a different strategy. We see this a lot in restaurants, in hospitality, when people launch a restaurant, it becomes really trendy, and they know every 5 years they need to rebrand, right? And they have the same retail space, but they just every 5 years rebrand, change the chef, change the furniture, change the decoration. And they have a great PR team, and they launch the brand again. And this happens a lot in New York and in London. And it's the same owners, and it's the same business per people, but it's a different chef and it's a different decoration, right?
At the end, it's a different restaurant, right?
It's a different restaurant, but
the same company, but
they are buying the ingredients from the same people. They probably have the same waiters. They just have a different chef, and they have maybe even the manager of the restaurant is the same, right? And in beauty, this happens a lot. You see brands that get launched, they grow really fast to 500,000 followers, they sell a lot, and then they die. And
So
you're
it's just
like,
hype. There's nothing
it's hype
else.
because there was nothing else, like lip balms, makeup. Mostly in makeup, this happens more, like foundations. But also you see brands in makeup that you have the opposite, right? That they manage to build a long-lasting. So this is why it's difficult, because it's very similar to fashion. It's very trend-based. And so what lasting value that we see is we need to find those companies that have lasting value. So this is the mystery of beauty, right?
Well, a mystery that I hope you can solve us a little bit. How, if you look at the future, what are the emerging trends or gaps that you see happening for the beauty industry?
What I see and I would hope to see more is the merge of beauty with artificial intelligence. We need more personalization in skincare. And there is a lot of brands trying to do personalization, but the real personalization doesn't exist today. It doesn't exist. I have not found a brand. There's many people trying it, especially in dermatology. There's a few players in Germany, in the US, where they take a few photos of your skin and then they give you personalized skincare, but it's dermatological care. So it can be for acne, cuperosis, for retinal, right? All of these, which is fine. Why? Because they are prescription care. So you need a prescription from a doctor. Therefore, you have a higher willingness to pay for an online prescription for this. And in Spain, in Italy, certain countries, this is not possible. France, because you don't have online prescription. But you can do this in Germany, in the UK, in the US, a couple other countries in the world, but not that many countries. By the way, South America, impossible. Well, it's not even regulated, right? So, and I think that we have to go, same with supplements, you have to go into real personalization. How do we do this? I don't know yet, but someone will solve it. I'm sure within the next 3 to 5 years, we're going to
Probably we'll see a lot of improvement.
3, 4 amazing beauty brands. I think it requires a partnership between a tech team and a fantastic manufacturer / active ingredients, maybe like Provital. You never know, right? But it's not just an active ingredients play. It is a marketing and technology play. You need to have like a triangle of threes, right? Marketing, technology, and ingredients. And then the question is, who is going to use that, right? Because the skincare you need and I need are different, but they are always the same, probably. You never know, right? How do we know? Based on based on photos, based on what you tell us, someone will solve it, and faster than we think.
Yeah, for sure. We had, in the last episode, as I said at the beginning, we had an expert on artificial intelligence. And when we asked him, what did he see to be the future for beauty in terms of artificial intelligence, he mentioned just that.
Yeah,
hyper
I didn't know.
So that's just...
for the record, I didn't know.
No, because the episode is not published yet.
Exactly.
So
I didn't know. I didn't know. But
You don't-
I would love to see a company like that. And hopefully coming out of Europe. Because in Europe, we are a bit behind in technology, but we're way ahead in beauty science. Like in active ingredients, in manufacturing.
Yeah,
Like,
I can tell you that in our industry, I would say that Europe right now is still the main player where you can find the most relevant companies that manufacture active ingredients.
And innovation.
Yeah, and innovation.
in scientific innovation, when it comes to trends that are fast-paced
Yeah, probably
trends, then
consumer trends, they come from the States, South Korea, Asia. But when we're talking about science and innovation, we can still say that this is mostly Europe. That's true. Well, and now before finishing, I think it would be very interesting if you could just provide like some tips as an investor and founder of Real Ventures for these early startups that maybe right now they are seeking for funding. And what would you ask them, or what do they have to have that you would be okay? This is interesting.
The first, again, it's a very broad question. Very broad, because we see hundreds and thousands of proposals every year. And sometimes the rational proposal, as I said, functional, rational, wins just because it's simple, right? So I don't want to fall into the trap of it has to be a community, a big brand, right? There's many ways you can build great companies. That being said, I think the biggest mistake, as we said, is we don't know our customer. So the first thing they have to do is do their homework, speak to the customers, understand who the person is and what they want. And 2, build a product first that actually makes money with a good gross margin, because everybody talks about, I have a community, I know who the consumer is, but my gross margin is 25%. And I'm like, no, we cannot operate with that, right? So have you need to know who your customer is, have a product that you can price at that price that you actually have a good margin. That's the most difficult part. And this is marketing, because marketing is all about the price and the promotion, right? And then how are you going to take this product to market? And then what we usually see when we decide not to invest is that there's always something missing. Either the product is great, but it's too cheap, or the product, or they don't know who the customer is, and therefore they cannot sell it to this customer. Or everything is fantastic. They have a scientist, the product is great, they have the right price, they have a niche of people buying it, but they don't know how to make it mainstream. And that's also a problem. Therefore, they have a marketing gap. So feeling is difficult. That's why being a founder of a company is difficult. You need to find the gaps that you have and know how to fill them.
And have the right combination.
Yeah, and it's not easy. And sometimes the path is slow, sometimes the path is fast. And I also think, I have a sentence I say a lot, that it's important to go fast, but you should never be in a hurry. It's very important.
I like it.
Because if you do things in a hurry, you will fail. Failing is okay, but you will make mistakes. But you have to be fast. Because if you don't go fast enough,
you will lose the momentum.
You lose the momentum, and also you need to test and learn, right? So I think that my advice always I say to founders is keep going, test, but don't be in a hurry, because you will make mistakes. You will spend too much in marketing. A mistake they make a lot is they put a lot of money in Meta. And I'm like, but your content is not good enough. You only have one product. Like, you have to think about holistically what is this thing that you're building, and go, it's almost like an infinite loop, right? Product, price, promotion, marketing. Okay, I talk to my customers again. And then I do another loop. And you do loops almost every 3-4 weeks. And eventually, when you're a beauty brand, a big beauty brand, you do it once a year. Say once a year, I do a customer research. I paid whatever, 100,000 to an agency when you sell millions. But now you not have to do this in micro loops, no? So I call 20 customers myself. How do you feel? Did you like it? Why did you stop buying our product? No, and we understand this and we iterate. And sometimes it's fast, sometimes it's slow. Yeah.
Oh, very, very interesting. And also, maybe our audience would like to know what is the role as Real Venture has when they start to invest in a company. What do you provide?
We provide money, capital, and we work with the founders if necessary, only when it's necessary, to accelerate growth. Can be anything. Can be helping them think about the brand, revisiting all their performance marketing, sometimes about margins, negotiation with suppliers. At the end of the day, and this applies to any fund, we don't do management de facto. The managers of the company need to be the managers of the company. That's why we invest. But we can show the way. We can act as beyond the board member. We are a board member, but we can go beyond being a board member. We just try to help with what we can, our connections, and
at the end you use your experience, right?
Experience and connections to help and hopefully to put the money at use the best possible way.
Very interesting. And if anyone that is hearing us is interested in contacting you, where can they find you?
They can find me on LinkedIn. They can find me. No, they can just write to our website. We have an email on our website, and they can write. We check every email.
Let's see if some Provital customers are interested and they come to you, of course.
For sure. After this interview, I would be interested for sure. No, I think we've finished with everything that we wanted to ask you.
Yeah.
But now we have a little game at the end of every interview. So if you're up to it, it's just a couple of quick questions that you have to respond whatever first comes to your mind.
Mm-hmm.
The first question would be, what was the last cosmetic product that you have purchased?
The last beauty product I bought was SPF, sun protection with a bit of color from Cantabria Labs. I have tried like 6 different brands this year because I'm looking for the perfect
one.
So I hope this is the one. I think SPF is like the most important thing you have to do in terms of skincare, right?
Yeah,
no one should leave the house without SPF. Then you can do about everything else. But yeah.
Well, what else? The next question is, what do you look for when you go to buy cosmetics?
I personally look for functionality, but it has to really work. And if you're an experienced beauty buyer And in my case, I've used products for, as I said, from an Agustino's Bader, which is 400, 500 euros to 10 euro product. The price doesn't really matter. It's the same as wine. You can buy expensive wine and it's really bad, and a cheap wine, and because it depends of what it is for, right?
Exactly, your problem.
Yeah, and sometimes you buy something really expensive and it's not what you needed. And sometimes you buy something really cheap and it's also not what you needed, so it's really bad. And sometimes there's cheap products that are really bad, but that's a different story, right? But I do think that there's efficacy, and like most consumers these days, by the way. I think the consumer will value a lot that the product does what it says.
Yeah.
No, that's true.
Hence the scientific side that you were mentioning is, yeah, for sure. And what do you like the most in the, the best part of the cosmetics industry is for you?
That we give freedom to people in a way, because when I talk about cosmetics, I always talk again about beauty and care, right?
Yeah.
We care about, sometimes it's about skin problem and sometimes it's about skin enhancement. And the same happens with makeup, no? And so we help people express themselves and we help people feel better about themselves, right? And I think we have that power, and not many industries have that power. And it's an industry that has existed for thousands of years. Cleopatra was already using makeup, and it was not accessible. And now it is accessible to anyone.
Yeah, that's true. In all the countries.
Exactly.
And what would you say is the worst part of the beauty industry?
The worst part is that it makes people feel bad.
Okay, can you elaborate on that?
Yeah, same as makes people, because we have become slaves of beauty trends. So the same way that the responsible consumption of marketing, of beauty marketing is good, and then therefore we consume beauty products and we feel better. For certain generations, certain communities, certain groups, it can be traumatizing because you want to follow certain beauty standards. You believe that by buying certain products, following certain diets, or buying certain makeup, you will look like that. And the reality is that we are all different outside, right? We have different skin colors, different hair, different noses, different ears, right? And we all should be different. So I think we should be responsible in the marketing and the beauty industry to promote diversity. I do think that, thank God, the most brands these days promote diversity.
This is something that, as you say, that thankfully we can see nowadays, right? That inclusivity and the diversity is there, and everyone, not all of them, but it's getting there. Yeah,
but
it's a beautiful diversity.
It's beautiful, and we see, especially in makeup, there's been a huge progression in that. But still, we read every day in the news that there is certain teenager that was trying to follow certain trend on TikTok or Instagram, and they commit suicide or they feel bad, right? So I think that from the beauty industry, we should be always figuring out how to make people feel better. Our job doesn't matter, from an ingredient provider to a marketing provider to the brand owner. We should be in the industry of making people feel good and look good, and not making people feel bad. And that is how, especially on the marketing side, how do we communicate is essential for that.
Yeah, good point.
Yeah. Okay, so now that we're looking into the future, what would you say are 3 key aspects to make a beautiful future in the end, in a philosophical way, even? Anything that
in the beauty space, or
no, in general. In general.
I think we have to be generous as the opposite of selfish. When we're selfish, we're not ethical. Therefore, when we're generous, this applies to brands too.
Yeah.
Therefore, we care about the others, we care about the planet, we care about our consumers beyond just generating profits. So generosity. The second one is, if we want a brighter future, we need to let science win. Science, unfortunately now in politics, we are seeing some countries going backwards, but science, imagine in medicine, right? In beauty, in education, in transportation, in energy, science needs to win. And then the question here is artificial intelligence science? So we can put that aside. I am a bit scared of that. But when we use science, we will live longer. Because life preservation now is like a huge topic. No, we have less pain. We will feel better. I don't even care about how we look, because look is like a subjective thing, right? You might care, but you need to feel. That's why I always talk about feeling good and looking good. Both are really important. But you want to be 90 years old and you want to feel good. And there is a scientific way that you can live your life, practicing certain sports, eating certain food, and also supplements, etc., that is proven that you will feel better. Then, of course, if you have your DNA is a mess, then it's your problem, right? If you will die, you will die. But there's many things you can do that we know, right? So generosity, science, and then the third one, which is more emotional, because is empathy, which is, and then again, this applies to business and applies also to personal life, right? To not do to others what we don't want others to do to us.
Yeah, that's what you would say to a kid, right?
But that applies to anything. That applies to business. Like when we build partnerships with other brands, or with our suppliers, or when we educate our kids in school, or when we talk to our parents, we should always treat others like we would like to be treated. And that is definitely not the case in the world. And I don't want to start talking about wars, politics. Yeah, exactly. And so I think that because you asked me a very big question.
No, it is needed. It is.
I don't want to win any Nobel Prize, right? As long, look, I now decided, and Eloi knows this. I decided some years ago that I wanna invest and build companies in the beauty industry. Is my thing, and I wanna do good and feel good, me personally. Because when I do good and I feel good, and my tool is investing, then the world is a better place. At least the things I can touch, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
And this is
what you can control.
Is what I can control and what I can influence. I am not a politician, neither I plan to be, right? But if I was doing that, then of course I would try to do my best, no? And I think we all have the responsibility via businesses, with our investment, with our money, to maybe make a bit less money, but to create great businesses. And then the thing is, when you don't care that much, because everybody cares about money, but when you don't just care about money, the businesses that you create are amazing. And they make everybody very successful in many senses.
And you enjoy the ride as well.
And you need to enjoy the ride, exactly.
Yeah.
Very,
I
very
loved
nice.
your response.
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
loving this question, to be honest. So end with this one.
One last question. Who would you like us to have here at Provitalks in this season?
I would like you to invite a good friend of mine. He's Pablo Nueno. Pablo is one of the founders and CEO of a company called Holistic. They do hair care, via supplements. They also...
It's nutraceutics, right?
Nutraceutics, yeah. They have a great product. They tick almost every box of what we discussed because they are science-based. They work with doctors. They are in pharmacies. They do direct to consumer. And they also have a great community. They have managed to do both without doing this around the person.
Yeah, that's true.
But doing this around the community of girls, of women that consume the product.
Well, I hope you can help us
to
reach him.
I can help you, but you need to convince him.
Okay.
He's great. He's great.
Perfect.
It would be amazing. But really, thank you for your words today. We've really learned a lot,
Yes.
and I hope our audience has also learned so much. But thank you for your advice, for your tips, for your explanations. And
Yes,
anyway.
very, very interesting conversation. And well, as I say goodbye, thank you again to all the listeners and who is watching us in YouTube as well. Also, don't forget that you can subscribe to our YouTube channel, and also you can find us in Spotify. See you in the next episode.
Thank you for watching and listening to Provitalks. We hope this episode brought you one step closer to imagining and creating the beauty of what's to come. Subscribe to our channel for the next conversation and connect with us anytime at weareprovital.com. Provital. Do care.